A very good afternoon to all our viewers today. Today we have with us a person with diverse background. He's an engineering graduate as well as management. He has Six Sigma Green Belt and IPMA certification. He's a business leader with deep interest in technology, renewable energy, and sustainability, and he loves solving problems whether business or otherwise, and come up with sustainable solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please welcome the Chief Growth Officer of Mahindra Teqo, Mr. Abhay Tilwankar. Welcome, Abhay.
Thank you so much, Harsha. Pleasure to be here. Very good afternoon to you and all the viewers. Uh, it's a pleasure connecting with your audience, and I know you have a diverse set of listeners who are coming in here, and excited to be a part of this.
Thank you. So, Abhay, just to start with, you have worked in diverse sectors in your career. What have been your learnings and why sustainability now?
So, Harsha, the way it all started for me was I wanted to kind of build big things. And as a child, I wanted to maybe go and construct a large bridge or go and set up a nuclear power plant. And when I did my electrical engineering, I realized, it's definitely fun, but I wasn't aware of what are the kind of challenges that will come up when you actually go and try and do that. So initially in my career, I joined the Indian MNC Larsen and Toubro, and I was in the oil and gas division, and we were working on drill ships and we were working on floating rigs, etc. And I realized, oil and gas, although powers most of the nations, is not the best fuel that we have in the world. And that's where I started thinking of how do I make a shift? And then an MBA happened, and was very fortunate to get into one of the pioneers of clean tech in the Indian industry, the Mahindra Group. Uh, and yeah, that's how the shift happened. And thanks for asking that question. But I think renewables is just one small step in reducing uh, the dependence on carbon, and that's I think what all of us should work towards.
Okay. That's really nice and inspiring to hear that from a young dynamic leader. Now, you joined Mahindra Teqo. What is the mission of Mahindra Teqo, and what is the technology? What is the target audience of this? Would you like to make a presentation or something on those lines?
Yeah, I would love to, do that. I would love to do that. In fact, what I'll do is before we cover Teco, I'll just take maybe a minute and talk about the Mahindra Group.
Yeah.
And I think all of us are very familiar with the group as such, but it's founded in 1945, has over 250,000 employees across 100 countries, and enjoys leadership position in farm equipment, utility vehicles, IT, financial services. But what we are here for today is, the strong presence that the group has in renewable energy, agriculture, and a very clear focus on ESG. Um, and if you look at the next slide, I think the way the group has positioned itself, it's very very clear in terms of how today the world is facing too many challenges, and I think what the group has done, what their employees have done is only this much. But the key message is it's not enough. And which is where I think there's a small 1 minute video which I want to show to all of you. Yeah.
This is not just a school. This is how we give thousands of underprivileged girls a future. This is not just a train. This is how we help hospitals reach hundreds of villages that have none. This is not just a tree. This is how we help preserve the planet. This is not just a training program. This is how we help the underprivileged youth earn a living. This is not just a healthcare academy. This is how we serve India's understaffed hospitals. This is not just a toilet. This is how we keep girls from dropping out of school. But this is not enough. There are millions more who need our help. If you share the spirit of Mahindra, join us and rise for good. Visit mahindra.com/rise for good.
Yeah. So as we saw in the video, I think whatever we all do is not enough, and I think I invite all of you to join this cause and make that impact. If I were to answer Harsha's question, what is Mahindra Teqo? Mahindra Teqo is actually a new age tech-enabled renewable energy asset management platform. What we offer is essentially taking care of all the renewable energy assets which are out there. This is a small step that we are taking in terms of enabling net zero. That's the vision that we're working with. Clean energy is one of the ways in which the world can become carbon neutral. And by ensuring that we are able to deliver maximum solar and wind power out of the assets that we already have, I think we're doing our bit in terms of uh, generating more power through renewable energy as compared to fossil fuels. Uh, Teqo has started off in India in 2012 and is rapidly growing across various geographies. Just some snapshots of how these solar plants can look. You may have large ground mounted ones, or you could just have small number of modules covering the cars, giving the shade at the same time generating power. You also have telecom towers which are getting sold, right? So they can really be in any form, any shape, and anywhere. I'm not touching too much on the awards and recognition, but yeah, coming back to the sustainability framework of the Mahindra Group, uh, we're looking at three key pillars on which we are based on: the people, planet, and profit as the three pillars. So, uh, overall, if you look at what is the vision and what Teqo is doing, it seamlessly works towards delivering the Mahindra sustainability framework. In terms of people, to build a great place to work, foster inclusive development, and make sustainability personal. Uh, we work towards rejuvenating the environment, which is achieve carbon neutrality, become water positive, ensure no waste to landfill, protect biodiversity. In terms of profit, we are looking to build enduring businesses. As much as possible, the group is looking at growing green revenue, mitigate risk, including climate risk, make supply chain sustainable, and embrace technology and innovation, ultimately to also enhance brand equity. So this is what are the three key pillars, ensuring that we are partnering, learning, and sharing. Today's session is one of those, and give back more than what we take. So that's the core principle on which we're surviving. So I'll stop my presentation here, and we can go to the next uh, thing that you have on your mind, Asha.
So the world is it's very interesting to see the work that Mahindra Group is doing. And firstly, I would like to congratulate you also to be a part of such a large vision and group, and we all are working towards it. Coming back to the question, now the world is shifting towards renewable energy, and so is India. Your company focuses on solar energy. How is waste management of solar panels handled?
That's a great question. So, as we all know, today India has about 40 gigawatt of solar which is already installed. And we're looking at a world which has more than 450 gigawatt installed. So, like you rightly asked, what happens to the solar panels? So, typically, there are two generation points for these waste solar panels. One is During the transportation, during the installation, there are breakages, and these modules then are not very useful. The second waste generation happens at the end of life. So typically, a solar module can last anywhere between 25 to 30 years, and hence it's not that big a problem in terms of waste management today. But definitely, considering there's silicon, there are some modules which are CDTE, which is got cadmium, which are equally harmful to the society. Uh, Typically, the waste management is done where the aluminium, the glass is extracted from the modules, and then the silicon is typically dumped in a landfill. This landfill is a certified landfill and ensures that there's zero damage to the environment. Uh, but yeah, typically we will see in the next 5 years as the initial solar plants, which got installed in 2010 odd, as they start expiring, we'll see more and more solar waste getting generated.
So you put all these waste in the landfills.
Correct. So only the silicon goes to the landfills. The aluminum and the glass gets recycled. There are also companies which are using the waste silicon to develop bulbs and use silicon in lesser efficiency intensive industries. So LEDs, etc., are being built, and that's obviously a technology journey which is currently on.
Wonderful. Do you account for the materiality cost for generating solar energy?
Well, the answer is yes. The way we look at uh, the overall sustainability framework, a lot of so in fact, Mahindra Group started off in 2008 with the sustainability reporting, and it also figures in the list of the top 100 companies which are reporting sustainability. Uh, every aspect is being tracked in terms of our carbon footprint and including the impact of uh, generating a single unit of energy, not just through solar but through any other source as well.
Great. According to you, apart from renewable energy, what are the other measures that we should take to mitigate climate change? Considering you are completely into sustainability, apart from just the solar energy, what are the other loopholes that you see that could be filled?
Sure. I think this is a very very interesting question, Nacha, and I think this is one topic that uh, I think we should talk as much as we can. In terms of mitigating climate change, it's a huge topic, right? There are a lot of COP26, COP21. These are discussions which are kind of fresh, where countries are making resolutions on what are the things they can do. But I think as an individual, what are the things that we can do is also an interesting question, right? Uh, and I just want to talk about a couple of things that as a country, what India is doing. As you can see, there is a huge push on renewable energy. There's a large focus of moving to solar, wind, green hydrogen. There is a lot of activity from Indian companies like the large investments that we've heard from Reliance, from Adani, from the Mahindra Group. We've seen steps being taken on waste management, which is how do you segregate the waste into dry and wet. There are regulations which have come out where apartments which are more than 100 flats are being forced to have a waste management strategy where the wet waste is turned into compost within the apartment complex itself. There are a lot of things that we can do in terms of e-waste management, the mobile phones, the old laptops that we have. We can ensure that it goes to a company which neither does recycling or reuse of the components that we're throwing. There are things that we can do in terms of what kind of water are we drinking. So, for example, if we as an individual are using RO, we know about 2 times or 3 times of the water that we consume will get wasted. So can you, if there's not an option to not have an RO, can you at least collect that wastewater and use it for plants, use it for washing, etc.? Uh, is there water that is being used for flushing? Is there an STP, sewage treatment plant, which is available, which is being used to recycle this water, which is getting wasted? If you look at energy, are we installing bulbs, or are we designing our buildings or bungalows or apartments in a way that light requirement is reduced? Are there things that we can do in terms of reuse or management of our clothes, of our shoes? Uh, are we carrying a plastic bag every time we're going out, or are we using a cloth bag? Uh, there's just so much we can do as individuals, and I think every single step that we take matters. I mean, you might have heard of a lot of steps that restaurants and hotels are taking in terms of removing plastic bottles. I mean, a lot of you may be wondering why I used a plastic bottle to drink, but that's actually the same plastic bottle that I'm reusing because I think why waste it? So, in terms of overall steps that we can take for the environment, for reducing our carbon footprint, there are also mobile apps which we can use to track what is our carbon footprint. When we go on a vacation, what kind of hotel are we trying to stay in? Is that an environment friendly hotel? Are you throwing the towel for a wash every night, or are you reusing the towel for the next 3 days of your vacation? There are just so many things we can do, and I think today with the internet and with people like you and me talking a lot about the environment, I think all of us are aware. It's just that taking those small steps. And I would love to share an anecdote from just the last weekend where we had some friends over, and as usual, we don't want to cook ourselves, and hence we decided to order in. And we were having a conversation around the amount of waste that we generated because of the cardboard boxes, because of the spoons that came in. The good thing is that today most of the boxes that we're getting are biodegradable. You're not getting those plastic containers, at least from the good restaurants. You're getting spoons made out of wood, etc. But the thought in our mind was, can this also be reduced? Can the Swiggies and Zomatos work on it? And incidentally, a few of the friends are working in Swiggy's and Zomatos, and they were talking about it too, and they have started pilots where they have reusable containers which are being used for food, and the customer can check it that I want to take that step of being sustainable and I would like to reuse my container, and the food arrives in a container and is taken away by somebody. So I think there are so many things we can do, and it's all about being aware and just trying to do your bit in terms of that. So yeah, a long answer, Asha, but there's so much we can do.
Indeed. And it's very encouraging to see that it is a household chat to become a sustainable person also in your livelihood, integrating it in your livelihood.
True.
What is coming back to Mahindra Teqo? What
Yeah.
is the immediate target of Mahindra Teqo, and what kind of collaborations are they looking for?
So in terms of the targets for Mahindra Teqo, Asha, we're looking at quantifying what is the GHG emissions that are being reduced every month. We are looking at conveying this to the asset owners. We're looking at increasing the kind of generation that a plant sees by 2 to 5% every year. We're looking at enhanced usage of artificial intelligence in every aspect. Today, we are using artificial intelligence for predicting failures of equipment. We're using it for understanding what maintenance activities need to be done to reduce any kind of truck rolls, etc. But we're also trying to introduce AI and machine learning in more aspects of everything that we're doing, including, let's say, the employee attrition, etc. In terms of the geographical reach, today we are present in about 5 countries. We're looking to increase our reach to several other countries where possibly the awareness is low or the expertise available for such uh, renewable asset management technologies is low. Uh, Apart from that, we are also looking at entering wind in a large way, supporting companies with green hydrogen, battery storage, and also looking at other adjacent areas. In terms of collaborations, we are always open for collaborations. We have worked with a lot of startups, evaluated their ideas, and also doing a few pilots. There are some startups which are ingrained with our service delivery, where a part of the service offering that we have, it is exclusively through that particular startup. And I think we're always open for new ideas and looking to work together with people who have the same kind of uh, intention of making an impact on the world. So yeah, I think from an overall perspective, we're looking at growing into new segments where we can make more impact. And yes, we are also looking for collaborations in terms of technologies, in terms of uh, new areas of work and new geographies.
Wonderful. So, this is my last question, but not the least. We have some questions from our audience also.
Yeah.
IICSR is dedicated institute for developing responsible business leaders globally. What kind of courses you see that are required by the present workforce and would be required in the upcoming?
It's a very relevant question. In fact, we were speaking to the director of NICMAR last month, and I think it's great to see academia looking at feedback and trying to enhance their course structure and course offerings to enhance both what's the ROI for a prospective student, at the same time ensuring that businesses and careers at large can be enhanced. From my perspective, I think the key things that are making a big impact today and are very relevant for the next decade. One being renewable energy. I think as responsible business leaders, we need to keep looking at how do we train our students on renewable energies and the impact of, let's say, green hydrogen, which was not being spoken about 3 years ago, and then now suddenly we have a policy coming in for green hydrogen, or battery storage technologies, which are not just required for renewables and grid stability, but also the next segment or the next big topic that I think you should cover, which is electric vehicles. I think countries in the Nordic regions have reached the levels of 70%, 80% of electric vehicle penetration. And India is not far behind in terms of two wheelers, at least, where uh, there are a lot of organizations looking at entering the two wheeler market, a lot of deliveries. Whether it's three-wheeler deliveries or two-wheeler deliveries are happening through electric vehicles. There is a focus of phasing out both diesel and petrol vehicles, which is being lobbied by a lot of companies. And hence, electric vehicles is the second area which becomes a very important uh, area of interest and an area of focus for IICSR. The other areas of focus need to be around climate change, because climate change, uh, carbon credit capture mechanisms, carbon capture mechanisms are the next big things that will be spoken about, because whatever we do in terms of reducing carbon or eliminating carbon emissions, there is also a segment in terms of what do we do with the carbon that is already present in the atmosphere, and that is going to be a big area of research and a big area of business as such. Where how do you capture this carbon which is available in the environment? Apart from that, on the technology front, I think there's a lot which is happening. We heard the announcement from Mark Zuckerberg about Facebook being called Meta. So that's an area which could be looked at in terms of what is this Web3 all about? What is Meta all about? And how does it impact sustainability? And what does a future business leader need to know about Web3, about NFTs, about metaverse that may impact them? Because I see that is going to be uh, an area of focus for a lot of us. How does it, for example, how does it impact a Mahindra Teqo in terms of doing maintenance? Is there going to be a large scale integration of AR VR with maintenance, where in the future you would have a dog similar to a Boston Dynamic dog, which is out there in the field, and you're just controlling it through your mind? And maybe Mr. Musk has Neuralink capabilities which have reached that level where you can just control the dog and do the repairs and maintenance or even installation of a new equipment. So I think from a futuristic perspective, Web3 metaverse is an area, and I think AI and ML have become so cliched. But for any business leader, the impact of digitization of AI, ML, and how they could harness it. I mean, you don't need to cover how do you become a data scientist or how can you use data, etc. But I think definitely an orientation around it where business leaders don't get scared the moment they hear artificial intelligence, but rather are able to use it as an efficient tool for their businesses is what I think uh, you should probably look at covering.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights. I'm sure when we are conducting the course on climate change and sustainability and technology, we will invite you as our guest lecturer.
We'll be happy to chip in, Arsha.
Thank you. I would like to request Mr. Chandra to come forth and ask his question.
Yeah,
Sure. Hi,
good
Chandra.
afternoon, Mr. Abhay Tilwankar ji. It's very
Good
interesting and
afternoon.
insightful to listen to you. I get
Thank you.
rejuvenated with all your great ideas. I am a social entrepreneur doing water purifiers without energy. And we don't
Awesome.
waste even a drop of water. Whatever input water is coming, we convert into purified water. Plus, we are also doing toilets using the waste glass fiber dumped by the windmill companies. Okay,
Wow.
so one thing is there, the structurals what you are using for the solar panels, they are all done with steel and those get rusted and broken down very often. So can we offer you the structurals in this recycled fiberglass so that that could last longer and will not rust at all? Maybe your OPEX, the CAPEX will be more, but there will never be an OPEX in future. And your it will be lighter in weight, one-eighth of the real weight of the structurals. So mobility can become much more easier and your carbon emissions will be much more better. Any thoughts on that?
I think this is an excellent idea, Chandraji. Thanks a lot for the compliment in the beginning, but I think there has been discussion. So let me be open and honest about the fact that there has been discussion around what can we do to substitute steel. There are companies which have used concrete and very successfully have used concrete to replace steel. They have used fly ash bricks, if possible,
So
to
but the
reduce.
carbon emission on RCC is very high, sir.
Exactly.
Yeah, we are
So
carbon conscious.
correct. So those are challenges. There have also been some people who tried out bamboo and wood structures, but I think your idea is very very good. I think fiberglass based structures, if it can manage the wind load and survive the impact of weather for the next 30 years, I think this is a great idea, especially since you're reusing fiberglass from wind blades, I think it's a very, very good idea.
Yeah, those
Uh,
waste for your knowledge, sir, is almost 30,000 tons, which are dumped as
wow,
landfill. So we are converting
wow,
those into toilets and they are standing good. Even one heritage structure, we have completely taken away all the old wooden rafters because that will
right,
be termite ridden. We have done with these structurals. I can send
excellent.
you
I
photo.
think
Maybe I'll take the email ID from Harsha ji and I'll share it with you, sir.
perfect.
And maybe
I'll
we
just
can do a
put
small
my
mock or a pilot with that, and that could be a useful value addition for you.
super. I
And
am,
also all your
putting
ROs,
my
sir, whatever you are putting your RO plants, we can give you completely gravity-based larger community filters. So you don't need to buy bubble top. You don't need to go for ROs which spew a lot of carbon, lot of water wastage, and also the OPEX is very high in RO. We can
very true.
completely reduce that, and we do tailor-made water purifiers. What is the
Super.
anomaly in your local water region? We knock down the unwanted materials, and all the good salts and essential minerals will be retained.
Very nice. I'm very happy that it's been a session where I could also take away two interesting thoughts. I really admire what you're doing, Mr. Chandra, and I think I will definitely talk a little more about this as well.
Nice
So
talking to you, sir. Thank you.
thanks for your question and thanks for your suggestion. I think definitely worth pilots on both the areas.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
a lot.
Thank you, Harshaji.
May I request Johnny to please ask his question? Thank you, Chandra sir, for asking your question. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Hi, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your insights. Uh, Sir, am I audible, sir?
Very loud and
Uh,
clear, Johnny G.
yeah, yeah.
Good
So, sir,
afternoon.
my question is, yeah, yeah, sir. Good afternoon. So, sir, my question is basically on AI. So, sir, for AI and any analytics, we need data points. Now, for data points, uh, uh, we need some data, and for the data, we need to have some tools that can measure. So, my question is specifically on, say, for example, in BRSR report a lot of questions are asked on water withdrawal from various sources. So, are there any sources or tools available by with we can measure the consumption of water, or we need to estimate? Or same thing, for example, scope one and scope two emissions. Basically, in the industry, wherein only electricity is consumed, or maybe financial services kind of industry. So, are there any tools available? Maybe I'm new in this field. There might be some tools available, but if you can throw some light on that part, sir. Thanks, sir.
Great question, Johnny, and you're right. I think this is the main problem for anyone who's trying to use artificial intelligence or machine learning is that data is missing. If data is available, it is not structured, it is not cleaned, and almost 70% of the AI-related projects fail because of the lack of data. Now, coming to your question, Mr. Johnny, I think let's be very honest. If we are trying to get data for practice, I think there are a couple of websites which allow you to download data sets and you can use it. So, for example, NREL, is a great website to get a lot of data around renewable energy. This is the National Renewable Energy Lab of US. There's a lot of data which is available for download. World Bank has open data sets which can be downloaded. In fact, World Bank data sets allow you to download data not just in terms of access to electricity, but also around GDP, around population, literacy, you name it. So the world and it's free. So World Bank has tons of data which you can download. There's a website called Statista which also has a lot of good information on data. Some of it may be paid, but has a lot of data. IRENA is again a great place to find energy and renewables related data, where you can download the report and read it at the same time also download the CSV excels which are available. So these are some of the top of my mind sources of data. But coming to your main question, I think the way to succeed in an AI related project or a data science related project is define your problem well, and understand that at some point there will be limitations. So these are the two constraints that we start with. And then, for example, if your project is around water withdrawal or groundwater resources of uh, India, right? So you want to study the water tables and the depletion of the water across years, and then you want to come up with some prediction as to when will water run out from ABC coordinates. I think the way to approach it is secondary research is very important, where you have the national groundwater resources data, which is available for the last 10 years. You start with that, and then approaching the right set of people also helps. So, where I'm coming from is, if, for example, this is the project that you want to work with, working with the local, state, central bodies would be able to give you that data. There are a lot of fellows and doctoral communities where you can approach, and they will be very happy to share data with you. So, uh, while the question was more around getting open data sets, I could share what I had in mind. But then it starts with genesis of what is the problem that you're trying to solve. What are the kind of data that you have available in secondary research? And then you move to primary research, where you can actually ask companies and organizations for this data, and quite a lot of them will willingly give it to you. At some time, so for example, we've partnered with a university where we are sharing some of the data in terms of how the weather has been, and even live data from weather stations. There's a university in Jodhpur we are partnered with, and also another European space agency sponsored organization which is working out of Germany. We are supporting them with data as well. So that is a slightly longish answer, Johnny. I hope I've answered, what you had in mind.
Yeah, yeah, sir. Sir, so like for example, thanks for that, sir. Like for example, if we want to really know our consumption of electricity, we do have electricity meters. So similarly, if we want to understand how many kiloliters of water are consumed by our offices, so are there any water meters available as well?
Yes, there are,
Okay,
water meters are available. In fact, almost every Mahindra factory has these water meters installed.
okay,
Societies are now, installing water meters and charging their flat spaces the water usage, and they are not very expensive anymore, because uh, as we've seen the cost of laptops or mobile phones go down, these sensors have also become cheaper, and they also come embedded with communication. So they can have a SIM card slot, or they can connect with a Wi-Fi, or else they can communicate over Ethernet. But yes, there are host of sensors which are available. In fact, Mr. Johnny, we are in this age where even households, you have retrofit options. There are tons of companies, the likes of Philips and Tata Power, who have come up with retrofittable switches, where you can put that switch, it connects to the Wi-Fi, and through a mobile app, you can actually see the consumption on every plug point, or every fan or every light, and uh, you can even save even more power. So there are similar sensors available for water as well, and you could, do a little bit of research online, and I'm sure you can find it.
sure,
Will not be a problem, but definitely available. And I have worked with one company, Tech Mahindra is our partner, and through them, we were speaking jointly to a large city in UK, where all of their water tanks, overhead water tanks, all of their pipelines was being digitally monitored. So yes, definitely that technology exists, and it's not cost prohibitive as well. If the intent is there, it can easily be done.
sure, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Johnny. Good luck.
Thank you so much, Abhay, for joining us and giving us your time and sharing all the insights and answering all the questions so patiently. Thank you so much. It has been wonderful discussing with you on renewable energy, and we are all working towards it. Thank you.
Thank you, Harsha. Thanks. My pleasure being here, and take every step you can to make this world a better place to live in. Thanks a lot for doing what you're doing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Take care. Bye.
Take care. Bye.